Here we go. Let's hope. Well, close. Close. Let me adjust a few things, guys, here. I'm testing the new Streamlabs. And so, it's a little different. So let me kind of reposition myself right here or something. Make this a little bit bigger so you guys can actually see it. What's up, guys? Let's see who we got on. Vlastalon, man, welcome to Mixer, dude. Welcome to Mixer. Hey, Shadowcast. Welcome to Mixer, everybody. Miss Kristen, hi. How are y'all doing? Thanks for the host. Oh, I need to add that. Okay. I need to add that as a scene. Let me, browser source. So alerts? No. A scene? No. Oh, there we go. Glitch alerts. There we go. So that's so guys, I'm playing with the new Streamlabs thing, so it should be working now. So we'll leave that as it is. Vlastalon, welcome, welcome, welcome. I hope that's okay. I hope the picture's okay. Why is my... Oh, it's my ear. Hi, guys. Look at there, big host. Ugly rugger. Big host. Sorry, guys, I just turned those on. Does it sound okay with the music in the background? Is it too loud? Delta Tiger, thanks for the host. Good. I am finishing my kind of got some so here though. Let's see, guys. So welcome. There's quite a few of you here. This is awesome. So thanks for following Vlastalon. Vlastalon, welcome to Mixer, dude. I really think you might like this place. Stick around. Honestly, Vlastalon, stick around. See what you like, man. But welcome, guys. It's Science Sunday. I got my goggles. Got my lab coat. I actually washed my lab coat because I had like a big yellow stain on it from the last experiment I did. And it's still kind of there, so it won't come out at all. Yeah. Yeah, I can't get it out. That's just the life of a science lab person. You can never get out the stains. You can kind of only hope to contain them. I don't quite like that. And they're out of Tide Pods at the store. Is that what you said, babe? Yeah. My wife is like, and they're out of Tide Pods at the store. Because we got a bunch of rather irrational children running around this world. A science stream. This is glorious. Tasty Lemons. Hello. Hello. So, guys, so science today, what I thought I'd do, since it's really big in the news right now, I thought we'd talk about, thanks for the shout out there, Rugger. This is glorious. And shout out Shadowcast. Yes, guys, go follow these lovely people. And Ugly Rugger. Don't forget to follow him, too. Ugly Rugger gave me a gift, by the way. I'm going to keep it off for now, Rugger. But Rugger gave me a... shout out yourself. I actually, for my air guitar solos now, check it out. I actually have a guitar. So I can act like I'm rocking out. Kind of, maybe, no? I don't know. We'll try it, see how it looks. We'll see how it plays. Can I jam out with my clam out? Hasselhoff, hey, what's shaking? Guitar Hero, you like that, Vlastalon? Yeah, man, yeah, man. Hasselhoff. What? Why did it not allow that? What? Why did it do that? Can I jam out with my clam outs? Clam? Is that one of my... Is that one of the safe words here? Clam is our safe word. Clam, clam. I don't know why that blocked that. Oh, so Skyrobi has deleted it? That's dumb. That's not one of my words. Unless it's Streamlabs, because I'm using Streamlabs. I'm using the new Streamlabs OBS. So if you guys haven't used the new Streamlabs OBS, try it out. Oh, it was you? Okay. Anyway, welcome, Hasselhoff. Lemons is here. Fantastic folks are here. So, guys, so what I thought I would do is I thought we would do a, since it's really big in the news right now, I thought we would do like a little take on influenza. Telling me what I have. Yeah, so I'm diagnosing Hass live on stream right here. Hass, I hope you don't have the flu. It's a shitty thing. But so I thought we would talk about flu and kind of go through some things. Are we okay with the music or should I turn it off? Hass, you need to go to the doctor. You really need to go to the doctor. He's reviewing influenza. Tasty lemons. That is awesome. Fan, well played, sir. Well played. Oh my gosh. Oh, okay. Okay, so we're going to talk about the flu today. So, I thought we'd just kind of go through the flu, kind of talk what influenza is, kind of talk about some things, and kind of leave it open to some questions. I do have Ugly Rugger here, too, who is a forensics major, so he has some background on viruses and stuff. I have some background on infectious diseases, but not a ton of background, but I do have some, general knowledge. So I thought we'd kind of go through that. Oops. You know what I mean? Losing signal. Damn it, that was so good, Lemons. I agree. That's Hass. That's pretty legit right there. Refresh, Miss Kristen. Refresh. So I thought we'd talk about flu because so many people are getting the flu. There's just a lot of stuff going on with this thing, and I mean, even Hass says she's not feeling well. So I do want to start by saying that Mixer is asking me to do this and let you guys know that I am by no means a doctor. So these are just basic facts about the flu. Okay, so I'm not diagnosing anything or anyone. Just a heads up. If you feel sick at any moment or you're running fever, please seek a doctor. All right. So influenza is actually the name of flu, and down there on the bottom, you guys will see that's right, Bacon Bits. Hey, Bacon Bits, how are you doing? Guys, another fantastic streamer here on Mixer, Bacon Bits. So, guys, you see down there a picture of flu. That's actually a model of what a flu virus looks like. So we're going to, what if my arms ache from my shoulders to my hands whenever I sneeze? Delta Tiger, I don't know. Looks like berries. It does look like berries. So this is a graphical model of that. And we're going to kind of cut it off. It's okay. The Navy doesn't know either. I think it just means, Delta, you need to stay at home and play more video games. I think you just need to do that. But arms ache from shoulders to hands. Have you ever had any nerve damage in like your elbows or anything? A doctor is another person qualified. You can ask this. Exactly. Thanks for the PSA, Rugger. I get that sometimes too, Delta. I actually, training Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, I landed on my elbows so many times and like would clock knees so many times with my elbows that one of my elbows, the nerve, actually kind of, it didn't destroy it, but it kind of came out of place. So there's a lot of times where I do stuff with this arm and it kind of like twinges a little bit and it kind of feels a little odd. And that's from training jiu-jitsu. Doctor's like, it'll work back into place eventually. So I don't know, no permanent damage, so he wasn't too concerned about it. Darrow 2020, oh my gosh, guys, heavy hitters are in the room today. Welcome, welcome. So I thought we'd talk about flu. So first of all, what is influenza? Influenza, guys, is a very, very contagious acute respiratory disease. Acute meaning that it's quick and severe, potentially. And it's caused by a specific virus, which the virus is influenza. I've got a picture there kind of showing you guys some symptoms. So if you need to point that out, there are some there's a picture here pointing to where your symptoms are. So it can be mild to severe results. Mild meaning just you might seem like you have a cold, or you might be feeling like complete ass like Hasselhoff is right now. And of course the severest result is it could lead to death if not treated and not taken care of and not looked at immediately. So here's some of the symptoms. You have from your nose, which is the nasopharynx area, you have runny nose, sore throat. You might have a lot of drainage, various colors. Like my doctor always tells me, if it's dark color, you need to get here immediately. You have fever, you're lethargic, chills, you might have a loss of appetite, your respiratory, you have a dry cough. So that cough, it hurts a lot of the times. You have muscle aches, joint pain. That kind of goes back to the fatigue. You could potentially have some nausea and vomiting. And then, of course, what is going on? Lower GI, you could have diarrhea and things like that. I think my kid just hit my... Okay, here we go. Me and all 4 kids had it in December. Oh, Miss Kristen, it's the worst thing ever, is it not? My son's actually had the flu before. We've had the flu before, and it sucks. Palms sweaty, knees weak. That's right. And arms are heavy, and then flu. Has the flu. has the flu. Had it December, first time I ever had it. It was miserable. I know, it just makes you feel just awful. That your body's being ravaged by this thing. Cures mom spaghetti. It's that you're ravaged by this thing that you can't see. That's actually not even classified as a living organism. Which we'll talk about that here in a little bit. So there are the symptoms. It's actually spread through the air from coughing and sneezing. So you spread this moisture from your nose. Hey, can you close this door for me, buddy? So it's actually spread from the moisture from your nose and from your mouth, your saliva. So drinking after one another, touching things, all that sort of good stuff. So it's pretty gross. And so there's the basic. Now, what I really want to talk about was kind of do a deeper dive into the flu, is that there's actually several kinds of flu. There's several types. The 4 major types are A, B, C, and D. So A and B is what we actually see a lot of with our seasonal flu. So the seasonal flu is what we're used to. So A and B are the 2 types that we actually notate a lot more prevalent. So A is classified, and we classify, we don't give, since viruses are not living organisms, we can't classify them using the normal nomenclature, like genus and species. We actually give them names and numbers. It's almost like a barcode is how we classify a lot of our viruses we have in the world. So the ones that you guys are most affected with are typically H1N1, and that's not to get confused with H1Z1. It does not turn you into a zombie. H1N1 and H3N2 are the types and strains of the flu that typically hit us. They're classified into subtypes because of the specific proteins found on the surface of the virus. So that picture you see right there, it looks like these little like the flowers from Mario Brothers coming up there. So those are the specific proteins that are found on top of the surface of viruses. And inside of the flu virus is actually, its code, its structure, but the outside is actually what hooks to our cell membranes. So if you see the little blue, looks like a little monster sort of thing, and then to the right of that is a pink layer. That's actually our cellular membrane. So these viruses have these proteins on the outside called hemagglutinin. It's found on the outside, and what they do is they recognize the surface area of your cell membrane, and then it causes it to latch on, basically, to your cell membrane. That's where the infection is spread, and it's where the RNA from the virus is passed into your cell membrane and basically takes over your cell and forces your cell to reproduce its own stuff. So it's really complicated thing, but it's beautiful if you think about it, that there's this thing that has its own code inside of it that takes over your cells and forces your cells to recode that thing and make new viruses. So it's rather beautiful how it works. So that's A, and then there's B. So type influenza B is also something that we see quite prevalent in the world. And it's not classified by numbers and letters. It's actually classified by its 2 lineages. So tracing back to where those original occurrences happened. And we have B Yagamata and B Victoria lineage. So it's a little bit different, but it still acts the same in how it reproduces and takes over. There's influenza C, and influenza C is more of a cold-like virus, and it is less frequent, and most of the time those symptoms are mild symptoms and do not cause panic or awareness, and sometimes can't even be detected because it's almost flu-like. So if they do, the only way to really test for C is to actually take samples from your body and actually cultivate it and culture it to see if it really is it by doing a lot further testing. So typically C is the less occurring, less frequent one. And then there's influenza D, which influenza D affects cattle. So your cows, your goats, your sheep, all that sort of stuff. So that's where we see influenza D is affecting more. It's specifically passed through cattle from ranches and things like that. So I think the picture is beautiful. I really think that, and Rugger can attest to this, when you learn this stuff and you start seeing that there are things that are bigger in the world than money problems and, things that aren't even living things that can destroy entire populations. That's a scary topic, but it's really extremely cool on how it works. And so influenza is thought, so most viruses are thought to have evolved from original things called plasmids. And plasmids are just circular structures of RNA that just contain code. So they're thought that most viruses have evolved from these just random branches off of these genes that have kind of formed together. And then over time, they've mutated to form various viruses based on the species they infect. So other types of influenza, we basically see 4 different worded types, not A, B, C, and D, but we have seasonal influenza. Yeah, very specialized evolutions. Like, people still do not fully understand that stuff because we can't trace it back for millions of years. So it's very crazy how that's evolved. And it basically evolves every time it hits a new species as it evolves. And it just recombines its RNA and structures to make proteins. So we usually see the seasonal influenza. Seasonal influenza is typically type A or B, and that we usually see that during the colder winter months, and it affects humans. There's avian influenza, which is a type A that's typically found in waterfowl and domestic poultry. So if you guys remember a few years ago or several years back that there was this, the whole scare of avian flu, and that was a very rare occurrence. It's not reported all the time. It's something it usually does not affect humans, but it can mutate to infect humans and evolve to affect humans, but it's really rare when that happens. And so those 2 types of viruses are H7N9 and H5N1. And you will see typically the ground zero patients that get the avian flu as they spread it are typically from dust particles the chickens have been living in, like the hay and stuff that builds up dust, and chickens are, defecating and stuff like that. So it's typically found by breathing in those particles. The swine flu, which was a big scare, what was 8 or 9 years ago, when everybody was scared about the swine flu and actually traced it back to Latin America and Central America, to pig farmers. That's labeled as TRH1N1 and TRH3N2 and TRH1N2. And the reason the TR is there is it's called triple reassortment. And triple reassortment means that those genetic materials are basically reassorting from several different strains. So they found that it's just the recombination of all this various genetic material from swine flu virus, and then it's mixing with the human flu virus. And so it basically reassorts itself to affect bigger populations. And again, to me that's really cool because it doesn't know it's doing that. So that's to me is the biggest mystery of viruses, is that it doesn't know it's doing that. They don't have brains, so so pandemic flu is the other classification, and that's where things really get scary, and that's where people consider the shit hits the fan, is when we have these global outbreaks of influenza A, more specifically, and this rarely happens. And I was just kind of doing some research on this. They said it typically happens about 3 times every century that we see these major pandemic outbreaks of flu. The last one we saw was 2009 was the most recent one, but of course there's one in 2018, there was one in the 50s, and I think there was one in the 60s or 70s. We'll get to that later. But this is the classification that really impacts human populations. And that's when, the potentially leads to shutting down air travel, shutting down ground travel, shutting down transportation of goods. So when you hear a pandemic, that's scary, very, very scary. Again, this thing could wipe out, huge numbers of humans. And so pandemic level is the one that we do not want to see. Seasonal flu, okay, it's going to happen always every year, but pandemic level is the scary stuff. And you guys have all seen the movies and read the books. So diagnosis and treatment. So this is my favorite. We've all zombie level. Yeah, zombie level. That's about right.
We've all seen Walking Dead.
Yeah, my son's still Walking Dead. Anyway, so most of us have had the flu, and Miss Kristen, you said you went and got the flu. So when they tested you, they probably shoved a long stick with a little swab up your nose, really deep, and then they should probably put it in both sides to get a complete sample. But the diagnosis is done. You have to do it through a doctor. And typically, the swabs are so... Oh, I hate swabs, and I hate throat swabs for like testing for strep. It's the worst stuff ever. So they actually have to collect a sample from your nasal passage. It has to be mucus, and it has to be liquid. So, no, I know Shining Odin. No, man, that's scary. That's like wiping out entire populations of humans. That's not. It's very scary, and you know, it's hard to predict, but it's also hard to plan for and prepare for. So, so the way they detect it, there's two ways they can detect. You know, the typical swab is kind of what we see. So we get these rapid influenza diagnostic tests, and they detect the virus antigens. So they detect those antigens, those proteins, and those things that are on the outside of the viruses that, you know, work with antibodies that basically target your cells and am I trying to say read your cell structure so it knows that it's there. Those are typically of 10 to 15 minute detection. They're capable of so the antigen. So what an antigen is, it's a molecule capable of inducing an immune response. So those typically take 10 to 15 minutes detection. The only thing with those is those are not 100%. If you want good fun to show virus spreading can happen, Pandemic is a great game. There's actually also maps and stuff that you can look at. If you go to the CDC or the World Health Organization, you can actually see maps of potential catastrophic results of pandemic flu. Very, very kind of scary. Not kind of, it really is. There's also another type of test called a rapid molecular assay, which is a just another way to detect using the liquids from your nose, and then you mix with a reagent, and then it basically turns a specific color. So those are 15 to 20 minutes, and those are detecting actual genetic materials from the virus, and those are a lot more accurate. Typically the ones we use are the rapid diagnostic tests, which are not always 100%, because you can actually have the flu for several days before it's actually showing in your body. So that's why they're not really always 100%. You really need to, flu needs to be in full effect for that to be 100%. And then of course the treatments, you guys know the treatment is you really can't just assign an antibiotic because it's not a biological thing. It's not a bacterial infection. So sometimes they'll prescribe antiviral drugs, but all those really do is lessen the symptoms, and then they kind of prevent further complications like pneumonia and stuff like that because it tries to help out your lungs and your respiratory tract. One of the most popular ones right now is Tamiflu. Tamiflu is one they prescribe, and if you guys have ever been prescribed an antiviral drug, they're really expensive, like super duper expensive. They're kind of considered kind of a last resort sort of thing. We got antivirals and cough syrup. Cough syrup to kind of help, so you're not coughing it, and the antivirals to kind of help clean it up and just lessen, the impacts. But it's good you're okay now, and it does take a toll. I mean, it takes a toll on everybody, adults, even adults in the best shape. But that's it. It's lots of system management. So lots of water, lots of rest. Eating enough, carbs to kind of keep sugars in your body. When I say carbs, I'm not talking about like pizza. Simple carbs. Like baked potatoes and crackers. Hasterus, hello. Simple carbs, crackers, and things like that. But yeah, so just managing your symptoms is the best treatment that a doctor can give you, unless they're typically the smaller kiddos or the older adults. Or if you're out of shape, or if you're diabetic, or you have heart disease, or HIV, or AIDS, or some other infection like that, they will typically just, say, hey, just don't go to work or school for a while and just manage those symptoms. Which again is another thing to me that's freaking nuts. That something out there that's not even a living organism, you can't fix it. You cannot fix, and that's kind of. Diet is really important. That's correct. Your body needs lots of stuff. Vegetables, it needs lots of nutrients, the macronutrients. It's scary. But when you have the flu, guys, you don't want to eat. Am I right? Corax Noctis, welcome to the channel, man. Welcome. Thanks for the follow. So, you don't even want to eat. Like, I'm sure Hass is just doesn't even want to eat right now. She probably feels just terrible. But yeah, you don't want to eat. You don't want to interact. You just kind of want to be left alone. And anyway. Who's at risk? you guys have all seen the commercials. You've talked to your doctor. If you're an adult, 65 or older, typically, you know, an older person's immune system is not as strong as a younger person's. Pregnant women, they urge you to get, you know, the shots. Children, young children, I'm talking like 5-ish or so or less. But my doctor recommends all children get vaccinated just in case. Heart asthmatics have a special, not a special, they have a higher risk of getting this because of, you know, their lungs and, you know, the way their lungs work and function. Heart disease, stroke, diabetes, HIV, AIDS patients, cancer, children with neurological conditions such as epilepsy, cerebral palsy, those children are also encouraged to get vaccinations up to age 17. But see, asterisk, you know, all the doctors and people I've talked to, again, guys, I'm not a doctor, so this is not a treatment, but all doctors I've talked to encourage every age group to get the flu vaccination. Because if you think about it, if it results in, you know, the higher level mutated pandemic level flu, it can affect even the healthiest of individuals. So again, it's a lot about genetic makeup. It's a lot about diet. It's a lot about, do you have any other diseases or, you know, conditions of your body, physical conditions or ailments. So it's a lot about who's at risk. But these are the specific ones. If you go to like World Health Organization, you know, cdc.gov, or if you go to like any doctor's pages or, you know, whatever, this is who they recommend are the highest at risk. But everybody is theoretically at risk. But these have the highest risk of contracting the flu virus. Less potent with time. Like the virus, like the older you get, well, the virus can affect anybody. But the older you get, the more established your immune system gets, and the more healthier you should be, you know, the older you get. But yes, over time, everybody develops, you know, immunity to it, antibodies to it, so it starts to kind of suppress it a little bit more. So, all right, kids, like excessive use, virus mutations to compensate. Are you talking about for the shots, for the vaccine? Over time, the vaccine does, we'll see, okay. So, they make a vaccine based upon current flu strains out there. But yes, over time, they have to constantly keep up with this, you know, DNA, and they have to not DNA, it's RNA. RNA does the protein and amino acid coding. So the RNA actually mutates over time. But when I say mutates over time, it's not like completely changes things up. It's very slight mutations. So they have to, in a sense, guess the strain that's out there. They know it's version A or B. So they're going to use what they have now. But yes, over time, like the same vaccine they use this year is not going to be the same vaccine next year. Oh yeah, they're always trying to predict. The World Health Organization, CDC, they're always trying to predict. And sometimes they get it wrong. Yeah, no, it's constantly being re-engineered, man. It's because it's constantly changing. Tech, Archangel, Antibox are losing potency. That is a true statement. They are losing its potency. Some scientists think at an alarming rate. Some scientists think that they will be able to pull it out and find some sort of antibiotics that do not lose their potency. But yes, over time, antibiotics can lose their strength. And because bacteria are living creatures and they're evolving to resist the antibiotics. So you have that. Yeah, rare but happens. So get your flu shot, guys. The flu shots are designed to protect against A and B. They've even stopped giving the nasal flu shots, like the mist or the flu mist, because it's not as effective as it used to be. So they're actually recommending shots all around. And even my family's physician, they don't use the mist any longer. It's all straight shots. Vaccines, of course, cause antibodies to be developed in your body, so they give you a weakened strain of the virus for the T virus to be created. And we all live in Raccoon City. Hey, bud, can you let the dogs out, please?
I can't.
So yes, we're all waiting for the T virus. But vaccines cause they give you a weakened live version of this. And I've had allergies, but man, knock on whatever wood I can find, I have not been sick other than just allergies. So anyway, so the weakened virus causes your body to develop an immunity to it. That way, when you do contract the virus, you already have the antibodies built to kind of help fight the infection. And not all the time is the flu shot going to prevent the whole, like if the flu lasts 5 days, you know, or all the symptoms are, let's say, severe, they're not going to completely just get rid of the flu. You might experience like cold-like symptoms as opposed to, you know, these huge this huge flu-like symptoms. Flu and strep is bad. Yeah, here too. Miss Kristen, my son's school, they have had tons of kids absent. We got an email actually a couple days ago that said, hey, if your child is even remotely running fever, you know, keep them at home. Funny one, Max. Welcome to the channel. Thanks for stopping by. It's good to see you around. Welcome to Science Sunday. We're talking about influenza. So now they're recommending kids, even if they're slightly running a fever, because a fever to most doctors is like 100.45 or whatever they say. But they've even recommended now, if you are slightly running fever, don't go to school. They actually manufacture the vaccines using eggs, so they culture and manufacture them in eggs. That's why they always ask when you go get your flu shot, are you allergic to eggs? They use a process like the vaccination process. Yes, it's worldwide. It's typically made by companies that distribute this vaccine worldwide. It's usually worldwide. Guys, 1 second. I'm gonna open this door. Sorry about that. My doggies are whining. So they use something called it's a process of recombination called trivalent. So what they do is they make the vaccine to where it's referred to as trivalent, which means it protects against 3 different strains of the flu. So that's why, you know, we've been able to engineer the best we can, is because we use this process, this trivalent process, that we can inject, you know, in your body 3 weakened strains to try to help promote no flu and help prevent that spread. So this year, I believe it's H3N2. So H3N2 is actually a type A virus. I went back so you guys see that. So this year it's actually H3N2, which is, it's been nastier this year than normal. And I'll show you guys a map here in a little bit. But this one's been nastier than normal. That's why a lot of people are sick, and that's why a lot of people are kind of, you know, suffering more, and they're seeing more outbreaks. But here in Texas, in our area, in mine and Rutgers area, is we've actually seen the flu prevalent since probably towards the end of November. So we've seen it, you know, we've been battling kids flu for, you know, 2 months now. And the thing is that's actually starting to spread pretty far worldwide. And Miss Kristen, you're from Mississippi, so you're starting to see. I think it kind of hit the southern states a lot harder first, and then of course, like wildfire, you know, it just spreads so fast. So outbreaks. So I want to talk about kind of some of the outbreaks that we've had in the past 100 years. So the last one we've seen was H1N1 outbreak in 2009. We saw 60.8 million cases in America. So it was pretty, I'm sorry, not America, in the world. So that's a lot of cases. So that's actually considered outbreak level. So there are some thresholds for outbreak level, but that's actually considered outbreak level across the world. And that was a typical A virus H1N1. And again, not H1Z1, but H1N1. So in 1968 was the previous one we had, and that was an H3N2 outbreak. And the H3N2 outbreak was a combination of avian strain and then a new H3, which is a new type of, it's called H3, it's hemagglutinin protein, and it was actually a new version of that, which scared the mess out of people, because now all of a sudden we have this new version, this recombination of avian flu and Chochu's fan. What's up, man? How are you doing? It's good to see you. Welcome to Science Sunday. Come in. Let's talk some influenza. So that was actually a recombination of 2 different strains, and it's really crazy. But there was actually 1 million deaths worldwide. And, you know, this grand scheme of thing, that's a lot of deaths related to flu. So it was a huge, you know, outbreak of this world. Then, of course, in 1957, we saw an H2N2 outbreak. And the crazy thing about that one was that's 3 different genes that originated from a avian flu strand. So we had 3 different genes recombining to form this super flu, this super bug. And it was estimated You know, of course, the 50s, we didn't have the technology and the noting down of what's going on. We had 1.1 million deaths worldwide, which is still nuts. Oh, Gladiator, the music I'm playing is from Pretzel. This is Bites and Kisses by James Flamestar. So 1957 was our last outbreak. That was an H2N2 virus, sorry. And it's estimated 1.1 million deaths worldwide. So that was really scary. But what's even scarier is in 1918. If you guys hear about the influenza of 1918, was one of the biggest ones we have on record. And it's still not 100% sure of origination. There have been thoughts and ideas that it could potentially have been spread by the military, you know, traveling back and forth so much. But 1918 was the biggest one the world has seen. It estimated 500 million people were infected. And I wrote holy smokes there. 500 million people. That's 500 million people, guys. Of course, in 1918, there was nowhere near the population we have today. So in 1918, the 1918 was probably encompassed. Yes, that's true. That's true. And if you look at this, we'll talk about here in a second. But yeah, you can see that as through the years go by. But 500 million, there were estimated 50 million deaths worldwide. That is crazy. Now, of course, back then, we didn't have the fancy, you know, vaccines. We didn't have the fancy, you know, Germex or, you know, hand sanitizers or the fancy Cloroxes. So if you see over the years, it is decreased as far as deaths and infections, but we're still at huge levels, and all it takes is one slight mutation to, you know, trigger another pandemic, and that's really scary. But one thing I liked when I first learned about this in college, the influenza outbreak of 1918, the way we were introduced to it is we heard some girls singing this little song, and it's a little rhyme that they used to do when they were you know, jumping rope. And so the kids outside, when this outbreak was going on, they all formed a nursery rhyme, and it was, I had a little bird, its name was Enza, I opened the window and in flew Enza. So this was actually a nursery rhyme from 1918 that a lot of the kids were saying. You know, they're jumping rope or, you know, running around outside, or definitely not playing video games because they don't, you know, it was 1918. But it was a nursery rhyme they had in 1918, and that's a pretty scary, like, when you think about that, it's cute. Oh yeah, that's a nursery rhyme, but man, that is really scary. Really, really scary nursery rhyme. So I had a little bird, and its name was Enza. I opened the window, and in flew Enza. So think about that, and, you know, kind of contemplate that. You know, really go, man, that's pretty powerful. So, of course, we all have questions. I have some comments, some final closing comments, but you guys might have questions too. And if you know, if we don't know the answers, we can typically research them and figure them out. But the flu is serious. And the reason I did the influenza today was because I read an article this morning. The Ring Around the Roses. Oh, that was about the bubonic plague, right? Chochi's fan? I think it was. Which is another scary bacterial disease. Anyway, that's another outbreak, another day for that one. So as of this morning, 30 children have died in the U.S. from flu this year, and that's very serious. You know, 30 is a lot. 30 is too many. You know, rest. Go to the doctor. Go to the doctor. They're saying this is possibly the worst since 2009. So these are my final closing comments, guys. Pandemics are scary. You know, that's a scary thought, but it's unfortunately it's the reality we live in, and we have billions of people on this earth. You know, so it's going to be harder and harder to prevent these infections. Wash your hands, keep clean, don't share liquids. Guys, don't share food, don't share drinks during flu season. Don't share rags, don't share, you know, anything. Keep your hands clean, wash your hands with hot soapy water. Like I learned in college in bacteriology class, sing happy birthday to yourself with warm soapy water twice. And that's how you wash your hands. Well, unfortunately, not everybody has warm water, especially restaurants, because they don't want to get sued, and because they don't want somebody to get burned and then get sued, which is very unfortunate. But use warm water. Even if you don't have warm water, still use, you know, cold water, but use plenty of soap. Use, you know, your hand sanitizers, your Germex, your things like that. Disinfect. Clorox. Clorox wipes. Yeah, up to your elbow washing. Yeah, that's true. That's true. You know, washing up to your elbow because, you know, like people have hair on their arms too. You know, it could stick to the hairs basically. Like they teach, like a surgeon. That's right. Walk around the house like this. Walk around the house like this, and don't go to Hasselhoff's house. Never. They teach. Okay, this is annoying, and I hate dabbing. Dabbing frustrates me to no ends. But they're actually teaching kids now that when you sneeze, to dab. That way you're sneezing in your elbow and you're sneezing in your jacket or coat or whatever, which to me is another story because a lot of kids wear the same jacket over and over again. Anyway, so wash your clothes, but they're teaching kids when they sneeze to dab. That way they can prevent the germs. Yes, and only, but I mean, it's only a matter of time before it kind of spreads to other countries. You know, for us directly Mexico and Canada. So I mean, because of all the transportation from Mexico, no, for all the transportation from Mexico and Canada. So there's that. You cough in your arm, feels like I'm dabbing. It's terrible. The dabbing part or the coughing and sneezing. Hass, I'm so sorry you feel bad. The dabbing, dabbing makes me sad. Gladiator's been doing this dab sneeze forever. I have those emotes, Hass. I accidentally sneeze dab. Yeah, you know, so like I teach my kids, you know, I have plenty of Kleenexes and whatever. So what are you guys doing to protect your families? You know, besides disinfecting and trying to keep everything clean? You know, that's a question. And I'm a teacher, so it's really scary because a lot of parents cannot afford to leave their kids home. Like there's nobody there to watch them. You know, so being a teacher and working in the medical industry or working in the industry, you know, where there's a lot of people, like a library or a movie theater or, you know, a restaurant, that's pretty scary. I mean, it's, you know, if you work at, you know, any restaurant or any, you know, whatever, it's pretty scary that people are going to bring in germs. That's gross. And our school district sent out several emails talking about high levels of absences due to flu. And then, of course, you know, there's the scary idea that there's an evolution of the flu. And every year it constantly changes. And that's scary. So what questions do you guys have? Any questions? I know you guys always have questions. At least most of you do. But I'm curious to see, you know, how... here, I got some more pictures. So I want to show you this. This is a very detailed image. T-virus... Now, we do manufacture viruses, but to manufacture it to where it does that to you, I think if a virus is going to be manufactured and we're going to see something wrong with it, it's going to lead more to death. Nick Sway, welcome to the channel. This is Science Sunday. We're talking about influenza. You know, if you want to see the nursery rhyme again, I had a little bird, and its name was Enza. I opened the window. An influenza. But no, here's an image of how a virus infects a cell. So it basically has these tiny little things on it. Evolve quicker than the animals. Yes, viruses evolve super fast. Constantly. Every time they go to a new person, they can potentially evolve. Yes. They evolve exponentially, if that's a way to look at it, think about it. So the big red, round, yellowish part, that is a typical cell. On the outside of the cell, it shows the virion, which is basically the viral cell. And you'll notice in most viral cells, they actually have these little sticks, which are proteins that recognize cells. And then they'll grab onto the cell, the healthy cell, and they'll basically push their way inside. It's called endocytosis. So it basically pushes their way inside. And once it's inside, it, in a sense, opens up. And it releases its RNA. Well, that RNA is basically spliced into the cell's RNA, and it takes over the replication, which is transcription and translation. It actually puts its way into the RNA, forcing ribosomes in the healthy human cell to replicate that RNA and to replicate those amino acids and proteins. And then down at the bottom where it shows you 6 and 7, it allows it to take over and replicate, forming new viral cells, or sorry, it's not a cell, forming new virions inside your cell, and then it spits them out in a thing called exocytosis, which means to exit. So it releases new ones. So how cool is that? That you got this living thing that basically hijacks or hacks your cell's transcription translation process, which is your cellular replication process, to make its own. Then it spits it out until it basically kills the cell off, and then it just infects another new cell. I think that is just, it's nuts. It's nuts how it is. And, you know, it makes you question a lot of things. It makes you really look at nature and go, man, nature, you're a dick. You know, and it kind of really makes you think about those things. But I love this picture. I love talking about, you know, transcription, translation, all that sort of stuff. Nature is a fickle mistress. Nature is beautiful, yet, you know, scary. Anyway, so there's a picture of how a virion infects a cell and uses the cellular transcription translation to replicate new viral cells, or new viral virions. I keep saying cells. I mean, everything is out to kill you. That's true, man. Like, everything. Natural selection, for sure, it is. And it's weird that something that's not living can push natural selection. Even oxygen, too much oxygen can, you know, hurt your brain, or, you know, it's scary. Let's see, what other picture do I have? Okay, so here is the most accurate ending last week. So you'll look right here. Here is the weekly influenza surveillance report by the CDC, and a disclaimer: the generic information on the CDC is pretty relevant and pretty good. But there are other things going on there that could offend somebody. So if I offend somebody about this, I apologize. I'm taking just relevant information from data. So here's the weekly report from all the states. And look at that. Every state is the same color. They were saying it's so weird that already this fast that every state is the same color. Sometimes you'll see like a red chart or a pink chart or orange chart. But every state right now is brown in this one. So it is completely widespread. So there's no local activity. Even in Alaska and Puerto Rico, it is straight up widespread. So that's pretty interesting. I mean, if you look at the report from last week, like I said, at the bottom, it does not measure severity, but it does show, you know, kind of like the average, the activity estimates. Guam is the only regional one. Yeah, Guam is regional, and of course there's a lot of travel between Guam. Hawaii, there's some local activity. You know, it's more tropical, I guess. District of Columbia was one I was worried about, because that is connected. So I don't know why that's not at least regional or widespread. But again, they take this data from county health organizations, and so they collect this data from them. I believe, I don't know if it's a legal thing, but I believe like doctors' offices have to report to the county their number of flu cases, especially in Texas. I know, like our doctors. Hey, what's up, Skilled Walnut? Welcome to Science Sunday. But I know that in our state and our counties, they have to report to the county if there are any flu cases, so they can keep the data. But guys, it's scary. I mean, you know, it's brown here. Like, now you think about north and south. So this is spreading to Canada, and this is spreading to Mexico, and then all down to Latin America. And, you know, Skilled Walnut, thanks for the follow. Welcome. Thank you so much for the follow. Welcome to Science Sunday. Science. Yeah. So what questions do we have? We all good? Is everybody scared now? Should we be worried about antibiotics and their decreasing efficiency? Oh, for sure, Tech Archangel. That's a huge hot topic nowadays. But what we're not, okay. How do I say this without being too political? I don't think we are getting the full story on these, especially completely anti-resistant like superbugs. I don't think we're getting the full story. But yeah, no, it's something that we should definitely be worried about. I mean, you go to the doctor. Most of you guys have had kids. And you know, you go to the doctor, at least when the kids are younger, I'd say, you know, from birth to about 6 or 7. Hell, you're in the doctor maybe, once or twice a year for some bacterial infection. And so they're constantly prescribing that. You know, that's why doctors are trying to do a better job of really identifying the infection. I know that my son went to the doctor last year, and there wasn't enough to note if he'd had a bacterial infection. So they made us wait it out a day or two, and he got worse after a day. and we brought him back, and then they were able to detect, oh, he has a bacterial infection. So I think doctors are becoming more aware of that and are trying to incorporate better practices. Hey, buddy, can you let the dogs in? Are trying to incorporate better practices to help that out. Some fungi can fight bacterial infections. I've actually heard that they're actually cultivating some fungal cells to do that. Speaking of children, I had to just yell at mine. I want antibiotics to become useless. So Odin, man, are you okay, buddy? That's not cool. I know a 4-year-old that takes some fungal. I mean, it's awesome. We're looking at different things, various plants and stuff that. So we use plants, we use animal tissues, we use animal, fluids to create a lot of our bacterial antibiotics. So there's that for us. So we use a lot of stuff. Looking for a closest place to get a flu shot right now. Okay, so if you do go get a flu shot, Hasters, just know it typically takes about 1 to 2 weeks to actually begin the process of developing antibodies for you. That's why they recommend getting your flu shot in October, so you can have a month or two to develop those antibodies to kind of help prevent the spread of the infection. But no, guys, I hope today's Science Sunday has been kind of informative. This is pretty much the longest we've ever talked on Science Sunday, and I enjoy this stuff, and I hope you guys enjoy it. This week was a little, I'm sorry, it's more PowerPointy, but I wanted to see it. FXXK, I haven't had the flu in years. So have you had the flu shot though? No, maybe 11 now humanity is and some people do see that. If you think about the grand scheme of things, is that a species should never most species should never equal the population that ours has. This year's vaccine was now Pudding Pet. I've also seen some data. Yeah, can we time him out? Actually kick him, please. Rugger. Guys, you cannot mention your age here on Mixer. Do not ever talk about age. Ever, ever, ever. You cannot talk about age, man. I have got to remove you from my channel now. So, don't talk about your age. Pudding Pet, yeah, I've also heard that it's not as effective as it normally is, and there's a lot of issues with that. Yeah, guys, that's TOS. You cannot talk about age. Feels like he is in a game of Plague Incorporated. Yeah, and it is. It's scary that we are in a plague because of the size of our population, guys. We are so big. The population is so big. PowerPoint equals power. Sometimes. I get sick once every 5 years. I've had the flu since I was a wee little lemon. Halo Cap 2005. Welcome to the channel. This is Science Sunday. Pull up a chair, man. Hang out. Okay, so Tasty Lemons, do you get the flu shot still? Do you get the flu shot and have just not, or have you just been lucky? Same thing with you, FXXK. Nope, I don't think I ever have. Interesting. Radio also pointed out it's different every year. Yes, it is different every year because the flu constantly evolves. And you've never had a flu shot. See, guys, and that's the thing too. Is everybody is different. Everybody has different genetic makeup, and everybody's level of immunity is different. And so again, that's the beauty of this. But Halo Captain, I love science too. We all love science. That's why we're here. Every year it does change. But you guys, that's the beauty of the human genome, is that everybody's different. But just keep in mind that as you get older, your immune system works less and less because your body's getting beat down basically. I've never taken a flu shot. I'm still alive, I think. And that's possible, man. It's totally possible. I get the flu shot every year because I'm a teacher, and they don't require us to, but they kind of. I want him banned too, completely. Whoever that is. No timeout. Just ban him. Thank you. Man, the trolls are in full effect today, scientists. I hate flu shots too, Halo Captain. Flu shots are the worst. And I don't know what it is. I think it's because of the serum. Number one, the serum's kept refrigerated. So, like things that are viscous, or like when you talk about fluids, the thicker they are, it feels, it's denser, I guess you'd say. But when you warm them up, it becomes less viscous. And I think, honestly, and I've been told this by nurses, is that can you report him too for me, Rugger or Cass? Yeah, because they're thicker serum and they're kept refrigerated. So it almost feels like it's injecting a more viscous fluid. So, man, it just hurts. It hurts. But like I said, they stopped giving the flu mist in pretty much every doctor's office nowadays. No, it hurts. It sucks. And it goes to the adipose tissue. That's right. Why? So it makes you sore. Oh, it just sucks. Yeah, it goes to that tissue. Ugh. But hey, you know, like I said, I'm a teacher, so I always get the flu shots. I get the flu shot because it. I want to try to prevent as much infection as I can because I am a teacher, and so if I can help prevent it, then you know that's a part on me. Tetanus shots. Ugh. Ugh. All shots, man, suck. Anyway, so guys, that's the influenza today. I hope that was pretty informational. And I hope now you're kind of thinking about it. So, you know, you can kind of stay safe. I had to get allergy shots. Ah, man, that's why I refuse to get allergy shots. I don't want to get a shot every week. It just drives me nuts. Vodka's okay. That's true, FXK. And it does kind of, it kind of helps out with the flu, I guess. For the female children to prevent having a particular cancer by injecting the cancer. They actually do that. I think that's what they do with some of the cervical. Thanks, Shadowcast. I appreciate it. Like cervical cancer, stuff like that. They actually do kind of develop and mutate and engineer is the word I'm looking for. Those sorts of things. That was a good one. Sorry about that, FXK. No, that's a problem. We are on team, but it's all good. Don't worry about it. I forgot the name. Yeah. No, it's cool, FXK. It's all good. I'm going to switch to 18 plus here in a second when I start. I need to create a Bill Nye parody intro for these side streams. Tasty Lemons, if you can find an artist that is willing to do an intro to this, let me know. But that's my thing, man, is I cannot find an artist that's willing to do some pro bono work because I'm a poor science teacher. So, but no, I need to do that. Define. All right, Miss Kristen, thanks for stopping by. Guys, I'm going to play some games here in a minute. Define artist. Somebody that's good with maybe like Adobe After Effects or something, or whatever. Skyrobi, the science guy. That would be pretty fun. I'd love to do something like that. And my background's a little nerdy, but you know, it's kind of cool. It's a little off today, I know, but I'm good. I'm having a good time. So yeah, that's my yeah, feel free to ask questions. That's my influenza presentation for the day. I got a lot of my stuff from CDC, World Health Organization, some local doctors' offices. I checked some of their websites. Bill Nye went far too into the preachy world. Have you seen it? I like Bill Nye Saves the World. I really, really do. And here's why. I think it has led to some good thought-provoking questions that aren't driven towards the little kids. I think that he does, you know, of course it does get, like you said, it does get preachy. I think that's because at times a lot of the things in science have to be political. But some of them don't have to be political. So I think that that's one of the reasons that they, a lot of the reasons people don't like it is because it does seem preachy, because he has had to get kind of political in some of his stances. And without getting too political, and that's it, yeah. But I think he's trying to provoke some more thoughtful discussion because, you know, he focused on the kids throughout the 90s and the early 2000s, you know, to get them interested in science. That was us, guys. Like, if you're my age, I'm 35, like, that was me. You know, now that we're older, now he's appealing to the kids he taught. Like, okay, I taught you these cool facts. Now let's start thinking about other things. Which, yes, some people do consider preachy.